It is Wednesday again, and this is the Wednesday Night Mouse Party. And so far, we've got G Webs. How's it going, G Webs?
Fred Bedlin, thanks for hosting. Welcome. Good evening, everyone.
And wait, that's not what I want to do. I want to get the banner going, and I think that's the right one. There we go. At the bottom of the screen, there is a scroll with an email address and a link. Those will get you somewhere. You can send in comments, suggestions, or pictures within reason. And if you watch this in replay, leave a comment, whatever we talk about. Agree with, disagree with. I always read the comments, and they are always appreciated. So, got a new sticker. I did. I'll show everybody. Let me make myself big here. Well, there you go. It's the Heat Miser and the Cold Miser.
And the shiny.
Yeah.
The rainbow.
Yeah, the Slapco had a deal on the shiny, so I went ahead and did some stickers.
Can they print white on top of rainbow or shiny?
I don't think so. I think the
white is just the absence of printing normally.
I haven't asked them, but pretty much all the stickers I've done have, the same look to them. So I'm not sure. Oh, pinned at the top of the chat is a link for this week's poll. So if you haven't voted in the poll, head over there and vote, and we'll look at that here in just a little bit.
Today's chat is brought to you by seltzer water. You ever drink this?
No.
It's just water and CO2 in it.
Yeah, I don't drink a lot of carbonated stuff. I mean, I do have a small soda now and again, but for the most part, I don't drink anything carbonated.
Yeah, this has just been really refreshing lately. And I was like, you know what? Instead of drinking soda, I'm going to try drinking this. I've been liking it. But it's too expensive. That's $1 for that little bottle. Rip off. I got a Soda Stream. I have to get it dusted off and figure out how to use it again.
So far out there, was Sergeant Joe Smith was out there earlier, but he's probably gone to bed. And Baron. So if you're out there, let me know you're out there. After the last week's chat, where I think it was last week, I had mentioned The Prisoner, the TV show The Prisoner. I had gone back and watched it.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I was asleep last week's chat. That's what happened. So I don't know.
I don't know. I had mentioned that I went back and watched The Prisoner, the BBC show. The guy that the British spy that quits, and he's kidnapped and sent to a village on an island. And you never know who kidnapped him, whether it was the British, because he wouldn't tell them why he quit, or if it was a foreign power.
It's like during the war, or just like sometime during the Cold War?
Yeah, Cold War. And I remembered liking it a lot, and I still do like it, but going back and then watching, there's only like one season. So going back and watching it, the first half is still good, and then it just gets weird. Where there's like
This is an English show?
Yeah. So there's a Western episode, and all the rest of the episodes are kind of like that, where it stops being him trying to escape, and then just kind of it's hard to describe. But I still think that it's worth giving a look. But my friend had watched last week's Mouse Party and then said, "Hey, check out Survivors. It's another BBC show from 1975."
This isn't like Twilight Zone or something. This is more like a regular TV show.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I've watched the first two episodes so far, of Survivors, and the premise is there's a virus that escapes from China and kills everybody, and the only people that
What year
survive.
was it made?
It was 75,
Oh,
1975.
and the virus is like just kills you, or turns you into a zombie, or what's going on?
No, it just kills people. Basically, once you show a symptom within 6 days, you're dead. The only people that survive are people that somehow have a natural immunity to it.
I feel like I'd have a natural immunity to it.
Some people will get sick and then survive it, and then other people just don't get sick. But there's very few people left. And the first episode sets up that everybody's dead. And then on the second episode, you see people starting to kind of group up.
Interesting. So this is a big budget show, or
Well, it's BBC, so no, it's not a big budget show. BBC didn't really have big budgets.
You've seen Hitchhiker's Guide on BBC?
Uh,
I'm trying to think of what else I've seen on BBC, or like Doctor Who. It's like that. Like it's just like pretty crude sets and stuff.
well, they did kind of since there's no. I mean, there are some interior shots, but they don't really need a big budget for what they're doing because it's a survival tale. So it's a lot of driving around on empty streets and countryside. It's a little slower paced, but I think it's worth checking out so far.
Oh, how many episodes is it of that? Or is it
I think there's like 3 seasons, so there's like 30 plus episodes.
I watched similar, I guess, but not the same. But man, what was it called? Threads, I think, or something like that. Or did you just call that movie or show you? What was the story you just talked about?
Survivors.
Yeah, okay. Then I think it was called Threads. Do you know Soldier Systems? Do you know who Soldier Systems is? It's a website.
I don't think so.
It's a website. It's older than me, or older than my stuff. It's one that I started looking at when I was first deciding if I was going to do stuff online. So it's one I've been following for a long time, and they posted on Instagram, and that's usually where I follow them now. Something about this. You remember the movie The Day After?
Yeah.
In the United States? It's like their version of The Day After from England, and it's from I think the 80s, but essentially a BBC movie, I guess, like a made-for-TV movie type of thing. Like it ran on TV, but it was a movie. But it's about a nuclear bomb going off. It's essentially the same movie as The Day After, except in England, where everybody's, instead of living in houses, they live in townhomes and stuff. But yeah, interesting, because it was sort of apocalypse type of, I don't know if it's supposed to be a warning or just a exercise in how horrible it would be or something. But I just happened to be watching. That was only a 2-hour movie or something, but I happened to be watching English shows also, just a little bit this week.
X Adam One's out there. Said he got booked in a smoking room instead of a non-smoking. Can't sleep with the stink of cigarettes.
How long you're going to be wherever you're at? Get you some charcoal. Create a filter.
He's at a casino hotel. They're full, so he can't switch.
if you're going to be anywhere for any length of time, get yourself a carbon filter or make one, put it in front of the air conditioner, and then let the carbon do its job. Or charcoal, so I'm saying charcoal filter.
But he said he only paid $10, so it's hard to complain.
Place I stay at in Vegas used to be smoking, and I don't really like smoke. I get smoky rooms because I care less, but I don't really like it when they smell like smoke. Do you ever get smoking rooms?
Not really.
It's pretty gross. But usually, well, back in the day at least, I guess it's not usually anymore. But sometimes when you get a smoking room, you can open the window. So I would get a smoking room so in case I could open the window. And I don't really, if there's going to be smoking in front of me, I don't really care about smoke. But if it was all on the carpet and the sheets and everything, it'd be pretty heinous. I don't think I'd like that either. Even the cigar pipe, I don't care about any of it. I don't really want any of it.
Cowgirl Candace is out there too. Good evening.
This is my new Concept. It's an Axis lock. Jade. They call their G10 Jade, so I figured you'd like it. Nope, you didn't get it yet, have you?
I'm not a fan of the shape of the blade, but overall, it looks neat.
Yeah, it's grown on me. At first, I was like, yeah, I agree with you. But it is kind of like a Tonto backwards, but I kind of like that it's just a blade, because honestly, a lot of stuff I do is with a razor blade these days. So I was thinking about carrying this, but now they're going to send me the littler one of this, and I'm probably going to carry that for a while. It's got a silver blade, though. This has a stone washed or something. I kind of like this blade, but it's got an Axis lock, so I'm stoked. I really like Axis locks.
I've never had an Axis lock.
Oh, really? You can kind of see on this one because of the handles. I bet you if I hold the flashlight up so you can see even better. This has, I think it's called an Omega spring. Maybe you can't see it. An Omega spring in the side here. You can kind of see it. I mean, I can see it, but I know what I'm looking for. It kind of looks like a circle inside this square here is where it's sitting. Like there's some kind of insert here or whatever where it's sitting. And it's kind of like a horseshoe shape, I guess. So when you push on this, it's pushing against that horseshoe shape, and that's the weakness. Is I guess that. Can you see that spring? It kind of looks like a circle here.
I can see the square, but I can't see the spring.
There's like a spring inside of that square. It looks like a horseshoe. I can see it, but I'm looking at it. But anyhow, that's supposedly the weak link. Thing is, I've got a bunch of Axis locks. I've had them for years, and I fiddle with them all the time, and I've never broken an Omega spring. But anyway, figured I'd show it off since we sometimes talk about knives. Did you see this one? I'm gonna show this one off later too. I got a giant.
Oh, is that the one you took the picture with the pizza?
Yeah, that's half of it. That's folded in half.
Yeah, I didn't realize in that picture. I didn't realize how big it was until you showed it on your whatnot.
Right? Yeah, you've probably seen it over there. Yeah. And then I got another trainer, but I got this one for $3 because you can see it on the side better. It's totally messed up. Squished. So I have to figure out how to fix it. But I got it for $3 and it kind of works. But the blade is super stupid.
That's kind of standard. They're all kind of like that.
Yeah, but there's like even worse than normal.
Yeah.
But I think it's $10 normally. I got it for $3, so I'm happy. I got something to fiddle with.
I had a trainer, and because I thought, maybe I'd learn some of the fancy tricks.
That's
quickly realized I don't have the dexterity I used to have in my hands.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, I kind of think that's the reason to do it, because our hands are prone to cramp up when we get old, right? So this is a way to keep that dexterity. But I want to do the same. Like that Kershaw, I can almost see why people do it. You saw that Kershaw I got a while back? It's all balanced. And I've played with ones at SHOT Show before that are all balanced. And I suspect, I could figure, you can get your finger in here and it just spins all around on here, I think. This one, it won't. This one's not really balanced that well. But, yeah, I just don't know what the tricks are. I have to sit down maybe and, watch somebody's videos or something to know what the tricks are so I can kind of incorporate them. I just never knew any tricks other than what I figured out on my own.
Baron was asking any ideas on how to safely shoot guns as a narcoleptic. Longer barrels.
Yeah, just put them in some sort of like on a sandbag or something. So the worst that happens is you fall asleep on it. Definitely don't shoot 9mm. That's the worst thing you could do.
That'll put you to sleep.
Yeah, that's like listening to, that's like drinking warm milk, eating turkey, and listening to
Lawrence
slow
Welk.
and violin music or something.
X Adam 1 said my Griptilian has an Axis lock. It's fun to play with. I went to get my oil changed, and some a-hole stole my mini Griptilian from the compartment on his door side.
That's lame. I think that might have been my first Axis also. No, my first Axis was my friend's, and he had like a really expensive one. But then I bought a Griptilian because they were $60 or something, way cheaper.
Dan Cruz is out there. Hey, good evening. And he's asking, do you guys like Glocks?
I do.
I do. I've got a G20, which is one of my favorite guns to shoot. I'm not huge into striker fire, so it's my only. I think it's my only striker fire and my only Glock. And the Saints out there. Good evening. X Adam 1 is asking, did I answer his first question? I might have missed your first question. Let me go back up and see if I can find it. Was it this one? Speaking of cold and hot, have you seen Kimber Rapide Ice Heat 1911? Seriously considered getting the ice version. I haven't seen them. I'm not familiar with them. The Rapide, yes, but not the Ice and Heat. I'll have to check it out.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, we can look it up here. Let me see. Kimber.
The shop that I worked at for a bit or hung out at all the time, they were a Kimber dealer, and they might have been, I don't know if they were the only one in Tucson or one of the biggest ones around, but they had a lot of them. So I never loved Kimbers. I certainly played with a lot of them. Kimbers are, you know how CZs are? Like, there's nothing wrong with CZs, but all CZ owners, you got to incorporate that into your opinion of CZs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Like, Kimber owners are, a lot of times they're like, well, I own a Kimber, so, you know what I mean? Like, well, how good are you shooting? Well, I own a Kimber, so it's like, well, so what? It's like, I got a Harley Davidson, so I don't really, does that tell you how well I can drive my motorcycle? Like, no, just told me you bought a Harley Davidson.
Here's the ice.
A lot of Kimber purchasers come in and go, I want this exact Kimber. And then they just leave. Like, they don't really talk a lot in the shop. They're not really interested in other people's opinions. They just buy their gun, they leave.
Oh, it comes in 9mm and 45. It's for 19. Well, I don't know if we can talk prices, but we're just under $2,000. Yeah, no, I wouldn't pay that much. I can't afford to pay that much for a gun.
So what's going on with the sights? It's supposed to be for suppressor, I guess. And then
looks like it. It's a threaded barrel.
Yeah. So what's the deal with 1911s and suppressors? Back in the olden days, you'd have to have I don't know what they called that thing, buffer or something. You'd have to have a thing on there though. So is that not a thing?
Yeah, the little spring thing.
Yeah, I think it was something that allowed the barrel to still do its business without kind of having the whole weight of the, I don't know honestly what it was, because there wasn't that many sounds for 1911s, at least when I was around cans. But Kimbers may not, well, they definitely don't all have the same recoil system. So that Kimber might not have the old-fashioned kind of recoil system. Is it a booster? Is that what it's called?
I can't remember.
I know there
It's
are
a-
boosters on cans, but I don't know if that's the thing I'm thinking of, or it was something. I thought it was something special for 1911. I don't know if it was just a new nut.
Well,
barrel
for semi-autos, because a friend of mine, when he got his suppressor for his gun, he had to get one so that when it allows for that barrel movement.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was talking about.
Just trying to see. There, well, let's do it this way. Kimber. I want to see what the fire looks like.
That one too many holes in the slide. I'd be worried about if a twig or something got in there and then your slide wouldn't work.
Or heat. Is it just the black version is the heat? And
Oh yeah, it's the same. Because it's not two-tone. It has a red trigger for some reason.
yeah, I don't foresee ever getting one. Carolina EDC Reviews is out there. Good evening. X Adam 1 saying the piston still comes with the suppressors. His Omega 9K has it, so you could put it on. So we can look at. Let me figure out what I'm doing here. Go over to the. Let me get the right page. There we go. Over to the poll. And let me go on the comments. There we go. So it was best schoolyard game. Tag, Red Rover, Red Light, Green Light, Simon Says, or Hide and Seek.
Oh my.
And right now, Tag and Hide and Seek are tied at 36%. Red Rover, 15%. Simon Says at 10%. And Red Light, Green Light at 3%.
I don't think I know all of these.
Caucasian Sasquatch said Hide and Seek. Oop, hang on. Let me. If I don't go to newest first, it doesn't always show all the comments. Caucasian Sasquatch said Hide and Seek has the highest body count. New York Outcast said You're It. Mike said Kickball. Artak and Daughters, Baseball. Sergeant Joe Smith, Cops and Robbers, or Top Gun, we played a lot. Me and a few friends in 3rd and 5th grade, or else Dodgeball. The traditional Dodgeball and the version where everyone is against the wall and one person throws the ball, last to survive, or first to catch. Throws next. We played hide and seek after church with cousin, pastor's kids, church building. Tim Allen's asking, where's kickball or dodgeball? Those were my favorite. If I had to choose a favorite, thinking back to like grade school, it's probably hide and seek. When the neighborhood kids would get together, we'd play kick the can version of hide and seek, where you set a can in a location and you go hide, and as the person's looking for you, if you can get to the can and kick it, then you're safe.
Oh, okay. Did you have capture the flag on there, did you say?
No, I didn't.
I think that's probably what we played most often. If we could choose what we were going to do. Which is kind of like team tag, right? Kind of.
Sort of, yeah. Thinking back, we did play a lot of red light, green light. That's where you've got one person on one end and then everybody else on another end, and they turn their back to you, and that's green light where you can move. But if they turn around and look at you, that's red light where you have to be stopped. And if they see you move, then you're out.
Have you ever played that like in a giant field?
No.
I remember playing that at summer camp one time in a giant field. That might be the only time I've ever played it too, but it was pretty interesting. With like dozens and dozens of kids.
Yeah.
Because you can run for a while and then you have to kind of stop, and then a whole bunch of people get taken out, and then it turns into like a sniper crawl at the end.
Red Rover was fun just because it's you line up and hold hands. And then there's another group that are lined up and hold hands, and then you pick somebody to run at your line, and you try and stop them from breaking through.
I don't think I've ever done that one. I think I've heard of that though. Red Rover, let over, come over.
Yeah, send whoever right over.
Oh man, have I played it or I just seen it on TV show? I think I've only seen it in movies or something. I don't remember playing that. Maybe we did. There was games we'd play like this in water too, because we'd have like the lake at summer camp. So I can remember a couple of things we'd be playing in the water that were pretty fun. We had a bunch of people.
Guns and Waters out there. Good evening. And Mr. Bob Dabalina, he says we played a lot of kill the guy with the ball. It was a guy with the ball trying to run from one end of the yard to the other without getting tackled. Yeah, we played that too, and it had a couple different names. Some now are considered politically incorrect.
Oh no, I remember some of those games. Yeah, we never played any of that though.
X Adam 1 said we lost someone playing hide and seek in a field of tall grass in our neighborhood. Cops got called. Kid hid and then fell asleep after an hour. We played well into the night. Yes.
It's summer camp and stuff. I've played just like capture the flag for like half the day, like giant games of it. It's pretty neat.
My brother, older brother, when we play in the neighborhood hide and seek, he would climb. There's I'm not sure. I don't remember what kind of trees they were, but they're kind of like lodgepole pines where it's a straight trunk and then there's leaves kind of near the top. He would climb the trees and then hide in the branches at the top, so you couldn't see him.
Yep, and you can do that in pine trees too, because you go to the bottom of a pine tree, certain kinds, I guess, and then you just climb up them like a freaking ladder, and you're completely camouflaged, and nobody looks up, so you're already camouflaged. But then you go up, they're giving away secrets.
Yeah, well, he was good at shimmying up. I mean, he's used to climbing coconut trees, so.
No, yeah, I could totally see it when you have like a bare tree. No one would ever think to look up either.
Well, we kind of would know he's probably up there, but nobody could see him, and nobody could follow him. So there's nothing you could do about it. Sergeant Joe Smith said, "King of the Mountain on a pile of snow from a plow clearing prairie guard." We would play that too on any big pile of dirt. King of the Hill.
Yeah, there was definitely King of the Hill and stuff like that when it was snowed out, because that was a whole different. You can't get hurt in snow, especially if there's enough snow to make a mountain out of it like that. Like you can't get hurt pushing people around in that. So that was a whole different level. And then in winter, we would also do our bottle rocket. No, what are they called? Roman candle fights. So because we'd have our winter clothes on, and you couldn't catch anything on fire really. So we'd run around the neighborhood. We'd save all our Roman candles till winter.
And Guns and Water said mine was capture the flag in the dark.
Yep, that's good too.
Step on a mine, get blown up. Step on a throat and deactivate the mine.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, we didn't play that.
But we would have like summer camp or something. So you'd have like essentially acres and acres and acres. So our capture the flag games would be huge. They'd be like, military offenses, because there'd be multiple troops on either side.
Yeah, that's kind of the way when we would play. I grew up in a small town out in the woods, so there's lots of lots of places to go and play. Mr. Bob Dobalina said, I grew up in Southern California. There's no snow here. He was 10 before he saw snow and didn't like it because it was cold and wet.
In the 70s, you could have played in piles of cocaine. It would have been the same thing. It's still dinked, but I got it open enough that I can flip it back and forth now. No problem. It's hard to stab them with this one.
Well, it's a practice stabber.
Yeah, just getting ready. I just figure out where to stab them. I'll stab them with something else later. Figure right there's a good place to stab them, though. He didn't even wake up.
X Adam 1 that he was 14 when he first saw snow. Left the window open because it was 80. When he would sleep, woke up with a wet floor from snow coming in. Oh, I can't imagine not having seen snow. We don't get a lot, and it's usually kind of on the wetter side here in the Northwest.
What about desert? Not seeing desert.
Well, Washington has a little bit of everything.
I mean, there's places where I've been to places where there's sand, but that ain't the same as like 100 at night desert, where it gets annoying hot constantly. Like it's not snow, but it's a whole nother level of like annoyance / danger, I guess.
Yeah, Eastern Washington isn't quite that bad. It would be in the summer, when I'd walk home from work, it'd be 6, 7 in the morning, and it'd already be 70, 80 degrees.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's essentially what I'm talking about, where you just can't get any relief from, it doesn't get cold in the evening, so you just never get any relief.
And I would, in my apartment, I would open the door, but the problem with that is you get cats. The neighborhood cats would come in if you left your door open. It's hot where it makes everything hot, so it just radiates heat at night. But it was nice. The Eastern Washington has, 4 honest to God seasons, where Western Washington kind of has 3. And X Adam 1 wants to know when you're going to get Bacon Bits a buddy. Bacon Bits has a buddy.
Yeah, he's got that other dog that he hangs out with.
Marshmallow, which you don't see very often anymore.
Well, she's bad for one. Plus, she's on the floor. But I was thinking about making a little place for her to hang out over here, but she wouldn't hang out there. She doesn't do what she's told. She just does what she feels like. So if she felt like hanging out over here, she would. But unless somebody was feeding her, she wouldn't. But because pugs cost $3,000, don't they? I'm not getting another pug.
I don't know. I've never had a pug.
I'm pretty sure they cost a lot of money. That's why I'm fattening this one up, so he's worth more. Figure if I get him little and then I feed him a bunch, he's got to be worth more. I can sell him, make a good profit on it.
Our beagle we had, I bought from a breeder, and I think we like $350 for that. Then the Jack Russell we have now was a rescue, so paid whatever the fees were.
Yeah, $30 maybe.
Probably a little more than maybe like $50 or something. I don't remember. Gunmetal Guy USA's out there. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Bob said, my dad liked to hang out in the Mojave Desert. He had a 59 International Harvester Scout that we drove through the desert and hunted jackrabbits and coyotes from.
Is that a truck?
Yeah, kind of like a Bronco.
Yeah, cool. I never would have got a pug before, but now that I've had this one, yeah, they're super good. I totally see why people like them. I mean, I'm a monkey advocate, and dog is essentially like having a monkey that's been blended with a burrito. So he's essentially like a monkey.
It's a monkey that can't rip your face off.
He could probably if I slept really hard and I let him eat my face off during the night and I didn't wake up. But yeah, it would be really difficult for him to do it. And he has no inclination. That's the other thing. But he's very monkey-like. He even has a curly tail. I was thinking about this. He's got a little curly tail like a monkey. Well, not exactly like a monkey, but similar to a monkey. He makes noises all the time.
Guns and Water saying he has 2 Shih Tzus.
Those are, I think I've seen them. I don't know if I've ever been around one. I think I knew somebody briefly that had one. It's not really an Arizona dog. We don't see them out here too often. Kind of hairy or furry, you know. But then she's not really an Arizona dog either.
Wow, our Jack Russell was from Texas. There was a litter that was found on the street. There, a bunch of shelters got together and then did an adoption function, so people could come and then look at all the dogs.
Were you down there, or
no? They
or something.
They brought them up here.
Okay.
Because it was a no-kill shelter, so they're trying to find homes for all the dogs and stuff. Which I'm glad. I've told the story before where I hadn't gotten over losing the beagle, so I wasn't into it. But my wife wanted to go look, so I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, really glad we did because Jack's a good dog. His name was originally Jethro, but my wife can't pronounce Jethro, so I changed it to Jack. But he doesn't know the difference.
Yeah, most of the time they respond to "come here," "hey, you," that kind of thing. Little one, the bad dog, something like that.
Yeah, I watched. It was probably a YouTube short or something where they're talking about how it doesn't really matter what you're saying; it's how you say it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he gave the example where he, said something very nice in a mean way, and the dog kind of cowered, and then said something very mean in a nice way, and the dog came over, wagging its tail and all happy.
Yep.
So when I was thinking about the show Survivors that I was talking about a little bit earlier, the stuff they were doing seemed kind of logical, but some of it seemed 70s TV show-ish. So I was kind of thinking about it, and would you go out and look for other people, or would you just hunker down and be on your own?
We're talking about what's the scenario again?
Pretty much everybody's dead.
But from a disease, right? Like you're
Yeah.
not sure. And if it was like in the 70s, you didn't have the internet. So it's not like they lost the internet. All they would have lost is their TV. And they were like a generation away from not even having a TV. So, they weren't ingrained in it like we are today.
Yeah, and in the show, since it takes place in England, they're just losing their radio.
Oh, yeah. See, so
they don't have TV.
Yeah, they don't even know what it's. So they don't have like a connection to other people. So they're fairly resilient anyway. But I guess my answer was going to be stay put, but have a radio to understand what's going on around. But it would be if there was no radio option or there was just nothing going around immediately around you, you'd have to book because we aren't magic. We're not robots. We can't live by ourselves. So, if there was something crazy going on, yeah, I'd hang out for a bit, make sure it wasn't going away. And if it wasn't going away, I'd go try to find wherever the best place was. And you'd probably have to book it around for a while to find that. I'm thinking of like Arizona. I can't really stay in one place in Arizona because I would die. I have to go find water. So it's not like I live in Minnesota where I could just sit on a lake and literally fish and eat birds and squirrels and shit forever. Like I'd have to book somewhere at some point here.
There's I think part of the story why they're moving is just so you can get a group together to push the story along. But you've got a couple ladies that they just start, traveling to go try and find people. There's a guy that does that too. He runs into a couple. He gets flagged down while he's driving. And there's a lady that's asking him to come help because the guy that's with her, his tractor rolled over and he's pinned under it. My first thought was, no, don't go because it could be a trap because, it's kind of a survival scenario here. It turns out not to be a trap. The guy was pinned under the tractor. But those two people had found what they had called a defensible position, which it actually wasn't because it was in a mine. So they're down low. And when you come in, you're coming in from above them. So it's not defensible. But, it's out of the way. You can't see them. And they're gathering supplies. So every day they would go out and collect things and bring it back to their location. And that's what kind of got me thinking about, would you go out and would you find one spot, bring your stuff to that spot, or go out to build a cooperative with other people? Because, that can help you survive by having extra hands and help.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie The Postman?
Oh, I never watched it.
Oh, okay. So it's essentially, I forget what the deal is. Something happens and we're in the future and there's society's gone or whatever. So there's groups of I don't know what to call it, separate groups of people, remote people are here and there and they've gotten together. And then there's bandits, that would be you can imagine, that didn't get along with any group. So they just eat off of the other, feed off of the other groups. But then there's, I guess, wanderers, people that come in. But aside from that, there's just a little bit of trade and these groups that are independent from each other. And then the movie is just about the Kevin Costner guy goes around and acts like a mailman and delivers mail between the groups. But
yeah, that's why I never watched it, because it seemed like a stupid idea. I'm post-apocalyptic mailman.
I liked it. I liked the movie, but I can understand if people didn't like it. But it's not like an awesome movie, but it's an interesting one. But I guess the idea is, I'm just saying, I think that's what I would do is I'd be more, while you're able to be a wanderer and you're physically able to be independent. Yeah. Bounce around and be friendly with as many groups as possible. Know where the unfriendly ones are. But I think in a world without an infrastructure, you're doomed to just sit there because you can't be, what's the word? What's that called when you don't interact with the rest of the world? You can't be a
isolationist.
Yeah, you can't be isolationist in that kind of future. You know what I mean? You can, but unless you have enough resources to keep everybody away, it's not going to last very long. You can want to be that way, but you won't succeed being that way. So anyway, I think, being whatever they call like a migrant between them. I don't know if it'd be a hermit, but friendly with multiple groups, I guess is what I'm getting at. A traveler or a trader, maybe. Just like in the Old West, there was the people that lived in towns, but then there was also like trappers and people that would, come to town once in a while. They knew where the towns were. But I think without that infrastructure, without sheriffs and some kind of government supporting everybody, then you'd be at the mercy of bandits, really.
Yeah, there's one of the lady runs into a guy who wants to reform a government, and he's basically kind of taken over an area and designated himself as the protector of that area. And which,
I suspect that would definitely happen. Like somebody would be the person that's like, hey, somebody's got to be watching everybody's back while they're farming or cooking or doing whatever. So, everybody agrees, okay, that's the big guy. He'll do it. Or, well, in that kind of future, it's going to be the big guy, right? Unless the little guy's super, super strong and smart or something.
Yeah.
But whoever it is, they're going to be like, that's the most competent person. Like, that's the person that's doing that job. But I suspect that's what's going to happen whenever you get a group, right? You're going to pick somebody who's probably wise and is the person everybody's going to take advice from, who's going to end up being the leader. And then somebody who's strong is going to end up lifting shit, and somebody who's smart is going to end up counting shit, right? And however that all breaks down.
Yeah, he was a business executive. So he's a smart guy, and she had known who he was because he had been in the papers. So he's somewhat well known, and he's got an organized group. And it was interesting because he allowed the house that they occupied was attacked by another group, and so they execute the guy that they caught. And she didn't like it, so she left, but he didn't make her stay. He's like, well, I hope, good luck on what you're doing. So he's not being a tyrant, which, is kind of, from a movie like that, is what you would expect.
Yeah, that'd be tough. Have you seen, oh crap, I can't think of it. Is it the day? No, it's not the day after. It's like 6 days or 30 days after or something like that. There's like 2 movies, maybe 3. I think there's 2 though from England, and it's zombies. So it's a zombie movie, but it's England, and essentially like after a zombie breakout.
Oh, it's like 7 days later or something, and then there's like
30 days later.
Yeah.
Have you seen those 2?
No, I didn't. I never watched them, but I know what you're talking about.
They're interesting. They're okay. They're like somewhere in the middle of my zombie movie list because I don't hate them, but I haven't watched them in forever because it's England. But that's half the reason I find them interesting is because it's in England or whatever, and I don't really watch England movies, especially modern England movies.
But I can't remember
I wonder if there's any similarity.
If that one had like was one of the ones with like the rage zombies where they're fast.
28 days later, that's what it is. No, that's that movie. It's like it's not the worst of the fast zombies, but it's definitely what it is. It's not really zombies. It's what it is there's monkeys, because all good movies start with monkeys. There's monkeys that are being tested for like anger. They're trying to make rage in monkeys or something. And then these do-gooders let the monkeys out, and they've got rage virus in them. So whenever a monkey bites somebody, they get into this rage. So it's not like they're a zombie. They're just fucking mad, and they want to kill everybody. And I think maybe they do want brains, but I forget. And on that, they do turn into zombies. I'll shut up. They do turn into zombies. But essentially, they get mad, and they turn into zombies. It's not like they die and just want your brains for no reason. It's like a rage thing. So they're fast, but they also break down. So they have zombies that they like tied up, and they'll just sit there. So they're not like super hero or super powered zombies or anything. I might be forgetting though. I haven't watched those movies in a while. It is 28 Days Later. Thanks. But I don't know. The one with the fast zombies that sucks is, well, fast zombies suck, but the movie that has the worst fast zombies, I think, is that, dang it, what's the one? The good one? That's a good book and they made a movie out of it, and I forget who's in it. It's like Tom
Was
Cruise,
it
maybe?
the one with Will Smith?
No, that one's different. That one's okay. I mean, it's okay. It's not that good. No,
Yeah, I didn't like.
this
I
one's the
didn't
one
like
where
it
he's
very much.
driving all around the world, and it's the book, the zombie.
Oh, was it
Like, is it Brad Pitt or is it
Brad Pitt? Brad Pitt.
okay?
That's who I was thinking.
That one has fast zombies, but the book is amazing, and the movie is like 3/4 of the book, so it's not as good as the book. But even though it's got fast zombies, I still like that. I've watched that movie over and over. I forget what it's
It
called.
was that oh, something Z, not the TV
Oh yeah,
show.
yeah. It's World War Z, I think.
World
right?
War Z.
Yeah. So it's the book is really good, and the movie is just complicated. That's why I like it. It's not like it's the best movie, and I don't like fast zombies, but it goes through like the whole evolution of like the guy is traveling around the world for the World Health Organization or something, trying to figure out what happened, and that's why it's interesting because I don't care about zombies. I care about the whole sci-fi part of it or whatever. That was the most interesting part of that book or that movie, I guess.
X Adam once said zombie movies always lack zombie animals like zombie dog packs or unstoppable zombie bears or wild undead cats. Part of that might be just diseases that humans gets don't transfer to most. There's like a few, but most of them don't transfer to animals.
Yeah, but still, I think there should. The only acceptable answer to that is that if a bunch of zombie bears started wailing on each other, they'd eat each other, right? There'd be one zombie bear left, but he'd be pretty fucked up. So I think that's the only logical explanation. But the one movie, what was that one? The one that they go underground in the first one, and then they go all over the place. There's like 9 of them. In that movie, they got Doberman zombies. Resident Evils. There's Doberman
Oh,
zombies in Resident Evils, and they made
I
them into zombies though.
I think I watched maybe one of them. I don't, and maybe not even all of it.
I really like them. The first one is good, like really good, and I kind of like all the other ones, but not again because they're great movies. But I like Mila Jovovich, and I
That's what I
like
was going to
movies.
ask you. Is it because of Mia Jovovich?
Yeah, I think she's okay. Like I don't hate her or nothing, but I don't. It's not like she's the only actress I like or anything. But she pretty much does. She's likes to be an actress, right? She's not like
Yeah.
some of these people who just does the same thing every time. She looks kind of the same every time because she looks skinny or whatever. But she does play different roles. But anyway, it's just a series. Like there's so much of it. Like that's why I like it. I liked it with the first one, so I started watching them. And even when they add bad ones, if there's 9 movies, I'm gonna like it because that's just a lot of stuff to keep up with. I like it, but they do get pretty weird.
I didn't like the video games. I think is it the fourth? Might have been the fourth game where it's a little more open world, so you could.
What Bob's on? Where's Bob at? Sorry,
I don't know.
I've never played the video games.
Yeah, that's the I think it was the fourth one. It was the only one that I liked.
He's not live. He was live for 2 minutes and 22 seconds. That's good to see that he's kicking. I'll have to watch that later. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. Mr. Bob said, so I got massively confused. Zombies chase non-zombies to eat brains. If zombies have brains, do they attack each other? If no brains, how do they headshot work against zombies?
Yeah,
Well, probably
makes sense.
Probably first off, it's just fiction. So it doesn't absolutely have to make sense.
I think they should do zombies like the real zombies. Aren't the real zombies witchcraft? Like it's a curse.
Yeah, that's basically drug. People get drugged.
or they put a curse on you and then they bring your body back and do something like a Frankenstein situation to you. Like that would be neat. Have you ever seen what's it called? It's not called They Live, is it?
That's the one with the space vampires, or not space
Oh,
vampires,
yeah,
but
yeah.
the aliens.
Yeah, the aliens. No, that's not that one. It's the guy who made the Hobbit movies, Peter Jackson, right? His first movie. You ever seen that one?
I don't think so.
It might not be his first movie, but it's his first movie that I've seen. I'm going to look up the name of it. So essentially, he made the Hobbit movie or whatever it was, the Lord of the Time, was it the Rings? Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
right? He made that movie with computers. And the reason he made that movie with computers, the way he was able to buy those computers and knew what to do, is because he made another movie.
Is it Dead Alive?
Yeah, that's what it is. Have you seen Dead Alive?
No.
Man, that's a fun zombie movie. And I don't like those kind of movies, but that's a pretty fun zombie movie. It's just a blood and gore movie with zombies in it. And the story is that guy wanted to make a movie with computers. He bought a cheap computer back in the day, expensive computer, but like a little tiny computer, made that movie. He made enough money on that movie to buy the computers to do The Lord of the Rings, or maybe there's a movie in between. But anyway, that was, back in the day in the 80s or whatever, we were watching that.
Vanessa Kitty's out there. Good morning.
Yeah, there it is. So 1992.
Fine Ape said fluffy belly rubs for fluffy belly puppies.
We got some probiotic bites. I'll give them. These are for gut health. Notice he doesn't waste the energy to stick his tongue in until the last minute.
Usually dogs don't worry about gut health.
No, that's why I have to worry about getting them these pills. Where? They don't believe that there's another dog. Where? Eat this. See? She's like, I don't want to eat that. Good thing I got perfectly good gut health. Eat this. She's a real dog. She's a real dog. And this dog's jealous because he didn't get his whole piece of biscuit.
X Adam 1 said, if zombies attacked like in the movies, I'd head to the coast, hop on a boat, and learn to fish, then wait it out.
Zombie fish. Zombies are going to do gross things to fish, then they become zombie fish. Then you eat one of them fish, and now you're a zombie.
How long would because if zombies are rotting, wouldn't they eventually just rot away?
Yeah. No, that's why. Have you read the book? That whatever
No.
that does Z. What the hell? What we just came up with the name?
World War Z?
Yeah, World War Z. So the book is way better. And that's part of the thing in the book is that the zombies happen, but then wherever it's winter, they get snowed in, and it's like having a bush that's underneath the snow. Like, yeah, in the winter or in the summer, we'll see that bush again, but it'll be dead. And that's pretty much what was happening. So yeah, that's definitely in a real situation. And then the other thing is they'd fall in the water and fall apart, right? Like fish would eat them, and I can't remember exactly, but I think in the book they said sometimes they would just like start walking and walk through the water and come up on the other side, but sometimes they would just be stuck in the bottom of a lake walking around. So there'd be zombies half decayed in the bottom of the water and stuff. They'd fall in a well or something and be alive but dead. So that's an element of some of them at least. But has anybody ever bothered to do any kind of like massive comparison between all the zombie movies? Or at least the major zombie movies, to compare their, I don't know if those are characteristics or traits or something.
I don't know.
I haven't seen anything like that.
Because the Water said World War Z had fast zombies.
For sure. That's the worst part about it. That one commercial or whatever where they have the zombies piling up to get over that wall.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing ever. It would make sense if they were the Borg, like, some kind of hive zombies. Yeah, okay. I agree. That'd be interesting. That would be suck. If all the zombies could have hive mind and they were all being commanded by the same brain, that'd be a scary group of zombies. I don't care how fast they are.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, but I can kind of see that if they attack, and then the ones farther back are just walking over the ones that are,
Well, no, but the way that
in
they
the
made
front.
it look is that it happened so fast. It was like a bunch of like acrobats who were practicing, who had a well practiced routine where the first 7 run up and lay down so that the next 8 can jump up and form a bridge. It just looked coordinated or choreographed. It looked bad. And it might just been a artifact or a result of the way that they could do CGI, because that's not a new movie. I don't know if it was the first movie with CGI or nothing, but there was no actors doing that. That was all just electronic cartoon zombies. But that one, turns out the zombies they only go after healthy people. So they essentially just gave themselves, I forgot, like pneumonia or something. They gave themselves a disease, and then the zombies quit going after them. And then they were able to round up all the zombies and essentially put them down.
The Saint said, submit to the collective. Resistance is futile. That's until you get a hue. Once you get a hue, then that destroys the collective.
What is that? Is that from Star Trek?
Yeah, from the Next Generation.
I don't remember
that. They capture a Borg. Geordi becomes friends with it, names him Hugh. And they basically implant individualism in him. And that spreads into the Borg, and that's what kind of destroys them. Because they get different factions and break off and fight with each other. And Fine Ape said World War Z would have been better as a multi-part PBS style documentary.
That gets us back to where we started.
Yeah. Sergeant Joe Smith said, if you want to see zombies, go see the Democrat convention. The Saint, the Borg, the future of Neuralink. And Guns of Water said DEI killed the Borg.
What's DEI?
Diversity, inclusion, something inclusion. Equity, inclusion, something like that.
Oh, okay. You want to kill the Borg, you give them give one of them an iPhone and give another one an Android. They're like, I'm incorporating the Borg, the Apple. I'm incorporating the Android. No, I'm incorporating the Apple. No, I'm incorporating, and then that's where the rift starts.
That's one thing that always kind of I find kind of funny is the whole history of Apple and Microsoft. I know you were talking Android, but where Apple was making computers and Microsoft said, hey, let me make programs for you. And then eventually Apple got in financial trouble. They were bailed out by I can't think of his name.
At what point are you talking about? Bill Gates?
Yeah, Bill Gates. He gave them money and that saved Apple. And Apple was kind of the genesis of the home computing. Not really. I know it. Not really.
There's a
but-
lot to it. I don't know.
and then they were doing commercials against the PC where the chick throwing the hammer into the screen and break the mold, and
but that was IBM more than
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft was part of IBM kind of, but it was it was sort of like saying I don't like cars. You're kind of saying I don't like tires. You're just not saying it, but there's no tires on anything else, so you're kind of saying I don't like tires, but they're really just so it was one of those like chicken and the egg. They were really complaining about IBM because they owned essentially the boxes.
Yeah.
And the only thing you put, one of the reasons nobody liked IBM is because the only thing you put them in was their software. So kind of yes, but it wasn't a direct thing because, like you said, they kind of were also in a relationship with, well, Bill Gates essentially, because it wasn't really big Microsoft yet. But I don't know how much of those. I have a list of them over on Robot Assassin, one of my websites, because I don't remember what year it was, but at some point I decided to start listing them all so I wouldn't lose track of which ones I've already seen or which ones I've missed or whatever. But I really enjoy the documentaries that are about the whatever you want to call Silicon Valley and all the PCs being created. So there's got to be at least 4 that are either specifically about Microsoft and Apple and their relationship, or about like what's his face? Why not Woz, but who's the Apple guy? Yeah, either about Jobs, and because you can't talk about Jobs without talking about Microsoft, like it'll come up. I don't think I must have seen one thing about Bill Gates, but it's the guy from Weird Science is Bill Gates. Like the one of the kids from Weird Science is Bill Gates, and it's like from the 90s maybe, or the early 2000s. It's a pretty old movie, and it's a fluff piece, and it's not that good. But that's the only one I've seen about Bill Gates. But then there's a bunch just about computers and stuff. So essentially though, there was IBM, and then Microsoft was like, hey, let's build software. So then Apple was like, hey, let's build hardware. But then there was also Commodore, and there was Texas Instruments, and there was other people doing it at the same time. And then you didn't bring in Xerox. Xerox is a pretty cool element to all that too, because at the same time, I think it was either right before or right around when you're talking about Bill Gates gave them some money so that Apple didn't fall apart. They both went to Xerox and got the mouse and the Windows and everything from Microsoft or from Xerox. And how did that go? Windows was about to launch and Mac happened. I think that's how it went. Or did it? I think that's how it went. It didn't go. Mac was about to launch and then Windows happened. It might have, though. I can't even remember. It's been so long time since I've looked at it. But anyway, that was it's a super interesting thing. I've seen it dramatized a few times and then documentaried maybe 5 times. And the newer ones get more and more, I guess, real, because back in the day they did it as like, hey, let's just put this down as like, what you put in an encyclopedia. And then eventually you get the like, hey, let's have a 2-hour long conversation with somebody, and now he's old and he doesn't care about keeping up appearances. Half the people are dead. So you get the like real, you start to hear the real stories.
I remember when Windows came out, a friend of mine's mom was, I think she was working for Steel, the chainsaw manufacturers, Steel, in Seattle. And she's like, I don't know why they're coming out with Windows. There's already a perfectly good program.
You mean Windows 3.1?
I don't.
Well, no, because Windows 3.1 was Windows, so it would have been DOS or something before that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whenever that actually happened, whenever it went down, my parents were both into both, so I understood that there was a difference, and we had a Macintosh around, so I could play on a Macintosh, and there was always other ones around. So I already knew those. So I never had to choose, I guess. I didn't have to become one family or the other. My parents had both.
But she also happens to be the person that I'll give I've told a story before where somebody followed her to her car, but she had a nickel plated 38 in her purse. And she pulled out the 38 and they stopped following her.
Nice.
So I'll use that as a good example of why women should carry.
And you're okay with them carrying a 38 or a revolver in general?
Yep, I'm fine with it. But that happened back in the mid 80s. It would have been mid 80s ish. I can't remember if it was junior high or high school. Somewhere right in there. So, there weren't a lot of
options or
yeah.
examples even. A programmer in 1982. Holy moly. I think the earliest computers I seen were probably mid 80s. The size of refrigerators with big tapes on them.
Yeah.
And like in a giant air conditioned room.
When I was in junior high, I took a computer class, and I think we had Apple IIe's.
Probably.
I wrote one program, and I hated doing code, so I never did one again.
Yeah, they were weird puzzles. I didn't like that shit either, really. I liked I figured the potential was there, but I definitely didn't like doing any of it or figuring it all out. But I did a pretty good job of just being around them and not having to learn every detailed piece.
Yeah, it was just a little graphics program where it was an American flag, and then it exploded from the center, and then revealed kind of like the Betty Ross flag with the stars in the circle. I don't even know if it worked properly because I ended up turning it in late. But never wanted to do lines of code ever again.
I definitely remember doing basic code and having similar. Well, I didn't even do anything that interesting. I remember just typing something on the screen was enough, and then they were like, "Now you know code," and I'm like, "Okay, good." Worse than some kind of crazy math. Like, what am I ever going to do with this? But like I say, it was neat to see what computers were doing because I could kind of figure that whatever they were doing was kind of like the Model T Ford, right? Like,
yeah,
doesn't matter what they can do now because they're about to do something way cooler than this.
Guns and Water said they had IBM punch cards in junior high.
Dang. I remember watching people go to school for that stuff when I was a little kid. So I've seen homework, I guess, that was just a big box of those cards. I've played with those cards before because I think they're useless once you've used them. Or maybe if you mess up, then you give them to a kid to play with or something. But for a long time, that's how you program a computer, like computers were nothing more than essentially physical. Like, they'd have a little lever come up physically through that card. And if it could touch through the card, then a connection was made. Otherwise, connection wasn't made. So they were physically that's how the card worked.
Yeah.
So there's just a shit ton of little probes that would come up and touch. And if some of them got through, that's how it would program itself. And that was way better than trying to program it without it. There was no monitors back then. So it would have been programming just through buttons on the front of a computer. So anyway, it was a way to program, but then also a way to tally, right? And there's a book called IBM and the Holocaust. And that's when I quit liking IBM even more, because all through World War II, the only way the Germans were able to keep track of who was Jewish and how much of Jewish they were, it was because of IBM computers. And instead of IBM saying, "Oh, fuck you, what are you doing with these computers?" Like, hell no, we're not helping you. They were like, "Oh, we can't sell them to you anymore because of the war. So we're going to have to sell them to you through our Swedish company, IBM Sweden." And like, no worries, we'll still be able to sell you these cards, because they wouldn't even have been able to do nothing with those computers if they didn't keep selling them the cards all through the war. I mean, I guess the Nazis would have probably figured out how to make cards after a while, but essentially IBM sold the Nazis cards all through the war. Assholes.
M. Grabiel said Bacon Bits needs a CPAP.
I got like 3 of them. I could plug something electronic into his face. Plug a hose from here outside.
There's still, to me, there's still something kind of magical. Where if basically the computer says yes and no. It's a bunch of yes and no's, but then you get like, picture of Bacon Bits. The transition from yes and no to the picture of Bacon Bits is kind of magical.
Yeah, the logic, that's the neat. Have you seen, I think, have I ever talked about it in Nintendo? I know whenever I first discovered it or whatever, I wouldn't shut up about it, but the Game of Life, I forget when the guy invented it, in like the 50s. It was after World War II, I think. But there's a thing called the Game of Life, and it's a really interesting way to understand logic. But essentially what you're talking about is on and off switches. Yes and no is the same as on and off switches.
Yeah.
So, okay, you've got a different gates. So you have like an and gate and an on gate. I don't know, all damn gates. But there's all these different ways. Imagine if you had a bunch of wires and a bunch of light switches and a couple of light bulbs and a battery. You can figure out, like, if you wired it one way, it would be pretty basic, but you could pretty quickly wire it in all different kinds of ways. So essentially, if you wire, a thing that says this switch has to be on and this switch has to be on, that's an and gate. And if you set it up to where this switch or that switch will both light the light, that's an or gate. So, and or essentially. But you know what I'm saying? With a gate, you're just setting up some light switches that turn on a light or not. And that's your light is on or off, right? So those switches and those on and off states, that's all computers are. And you start putting on and or gates together, and you can come up with math. You can come up with the picture of that dog, and it's crazy. So there's a really neat, that for me at least, a thing that went for, and that's why mechanical computers were computers. They were just a bunch of switch ons and offs, switches turned on and off. And they've really done is change they've miniaturized the apparatus, and we've added way more on and off switches. But this logic is just the complicated complexity, I guess, you get when you have a billion on and off switches, and then all the time in the world to figure out how to make those into like software, essentially. Anyway, it's pretty neat. And then you start figuring out that everything else is just layers on top of it. But it's all pretty basic, I guess, what I was trying to say.
X out of one sent in a picture of the gun he wants. Colt. It's nice. It would be nice if the QR code that they put on the frame was under the grip.
What's up with that?
My Smith & Wesson has a QR code, but it's under the grip, so you don't see it.
Yeah, or like under the trigger guard or something if they got to leave it out. Or even in the trigger guard. Then we'd touch it there if it was in the trigger guard. I like the smooth cylinder of it.
But Colts are nice looking.
So then, what was the topic of tonight's bracket?
Oh, there's not a bracket. I had to send in because we did back-to-back brackets so close to each other. I had to send in the bracket for a level 3 diagnostic. So I'm just waiting to hear back from that.
I thought they just do those over the phone now.
No, because mine's surplus Soviet. I have to send it out to Kyrgyzstan. It's the only place that can do it.
The zombie movie bracket. That'd be a tough one. Yeah, you have to sneak something like that in when Gizzard ain't here. He doesn't even know what a zombie is, probably.
He probably hasn't seen the movie, no matter what movie it is.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. It's like, I've heard of them. Is that the name of a band? Or the name of a song? The best is when he started a new segment of his show to watch a movie every week.
And didn't watch the movie.
The second week into it and couldn't watch a movie in an entire week. I mean, I get it. I totally get that if you didn't really want to do something, but it's funny because I've got almost a movie on constantly. I'd rather listen to a movie than listen to the radio most of the time.
Whatever the newest Godzilla versus Kong, it's on Amazon, I guess.
Have you seen it?
I might watch it tonight.
It is hard to watch. Let's put it that way.
Oh, what? I was just gonna watch it because there's on Instagram. I don't know if I subscribe to them or it's just since I've looked at some of their stuff, they keep showing me the Godzilla stuff, and so they mentioned it's on Prime. So I thought, well, maybe I'll watch it, but now, I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna have to go watch it on Prime then because I can watch it in better definition than I've seen it. But I mean, it must be long because I've watched it like 3 times, and it's like a movie where if they were like, we're going to hand out, like they went to a movie theater full of people and they said, we're going to hand out pieces of paper and we're going to ask you all to write down every idea you can think of for the next Godzilla movie. And then they got back all those pieces of paper and we're like, we're going to use every one of these ideas. Like there's so much shit going on in this movie. I can't even, you go, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Like that's why they're even there, because they just went off and did like 4 other things and then a new thing. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on. Yes, they have to, because after I watched it, I watched the Godzilla King Kong Mecha Godzilla one, and it's essentially the same thing. Like, holy moly, like you just decide to throw everything you've ever thought about putting in the Godzilla movie into this thing.
They on I forget what channel it was. The other day they were playing one of the newer Planet of the Apes. So I thought, well, I guess I'll watch it. It's on TV.
You don't remember which one?
I don't. It was, I don't know. I made it like 5 minutes. It's like, this sucks. I can't.
Oh, okay. Was it all the monkeys? You had to read everything the monkeys were saying to each other?
I don't even remember. The only part I watched was whatever the Caesar character. I don't even know if his name was Caesar. But there's an older monkey that's dying, and the older monkey says, "Revenge me, revenge me." Dear God! I watched a few more minutes, and it's like, nah, I'm not going to bother. This is awful.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 that I can't keep track of which one or which, and it's all the ones in the middle. So the first one you'd know because it starts out in English, and there's humans, and it's the beginning of it all, and that's Caesar being a baby. And then, or not a baby, but a young monkey, and then everything happens. And then there's like 3 of them, I think, where you have to read, like if it was a foreign language, the monkeys just make monkey noises at each other and you got to read them. I can't handle that. But I don't mind watching a movie, but if I got to read the whole thing to know what's going on, then I'm just listening to a movie with a bunch of monkey noises. And as good as that sounds, it's not that interesting. So this last one I like because they talk English. They talk like monkeys, but they're talking. I don't have to read nothing.
Subtitles don't bother me. I've watched enough old Japanese movies.
But you watch
And
movies, like you sit down and watch the movie.
yeah, if you're doing stuff, then yeah, I can see how that's being annoying. Where you're not watching it completely while you're doing stuff.
It makes me watch it, and that's the hard part. Yeah, I don't like wasting time.
But for there's a lot of people that will complain, I don't want to read a movie. But it's, if you're choosing between subtitles and dubbed, subtitles always are superior, and the more you watch them, the less you notice that you're reading. It's just part of the movie, and you don't realize that you're reading the dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. And I don't think I've watched tons of movies that are in Japanese that I don't even bother reading them because I don't care, because I can still tell what's happening.
I've got a few Japanese movies that don't have subtitles, and I don't need them. I can tell what's going on because I've seen enough of them to know what's going on.
I don't know what he's saying to her, but he's essentially saying, like, let me back in or whatever. Like, I don't know what he's saying, but he's saying, I want something to eat. Yeah.
That, that's the way it would be when we go visit my wife's parents. I'd watch TV and I wouldn't, there's no subtitles on the Japanese channels in Japan. So, but I've seen enough. I can I at the time knew more than I have forgotten probably most of what any Japanese that I knew. So I could pick up a word here or there, but I could still, I've seen enough movies that I can kind of get the gist of what's going on by what they're doing.
Do they run soap operas in Japan?
Yeah.
Or did they, I guess, back in the day?
Yeah.
So that's universal.
That's funny because that's the example I had in my head while I was talking, was a soap opera where there's a girl and a guy that, there was an attraction there. They're kind of middle-aged, and watching it, you just think, you guys like each other, just, but Sergeant Joe Smith said that he doesn't bother reading subtitles on porn films. X Adam 1 said, I miss action scenes and subtle clues because I'm too busy reading. You just gotta watch more. Just keep watching more. Eventually you won't even catch, realize that you're reading. You'll subconsciously read it while you're watching what's going on. And it helps too. Like some of the Japanese movies, the really good ones, ones with good subtitles, they'll be in yellow. The yellow subtitles are easier to read. It's easier to pick them up on the screen. I'm still kind of not sure there are some movies that will use different color subtitles for different characters, so you can see that it's a different character talking. But
I don't like that. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I can see why, but it stands out a little bit when there's a color change. So I'm still not quite sure on if I like that or not. But like watching the old the Kung Fu flicks, watching it with subtitles and watching it in Letterbox. If you can find ones that are in Letterbox, that's, I hate to say game changer, but you realize how small they are, how short they are. But instead of being pan and scan or being
Where they like stretch and skew it to fit the TV.
Well, because on some, if it's a widescreen, you'll actually see, instead of them cropping it, you'll have your cropped picture for the 4x3 TV. It'll move a little bit in the frame so you can see what's over there. And that's kind of, that motion is unnatural motion. To me, it's kind of stands out when I see it. I guess an example, like Star Wars, when he sees the bantha in the desert and says, "Oh, there's when he the sand person." If you see it in letterbox, you see the sand person that he's talking about. When you see it on 4x3, it's cropped out. You don't see it. So like pan and scan might shift over a little bit so you would see what he's talking about, and then shift back. But there's that little slide to the side doesn't look right because it's not what you're used to seeing on TV or on a screen.
How long do you
Oh,
think it'll be before you can go to a prompt or something to an AI and say, make me a movie that's like this movie and this movie, but more complicated, or this movie and this movie, but more fight scenes, or this movie.
there
and
is
this
somebody
movie.
did that with a TV. They made a TV show by doing that. I think they put it on the internet. I think we might have talked about it. It was like a Scooby-Doo episode or something.
Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot that.
This would have been probably last year we talked about it. I don't remember exactly, but I mean, it looked good, and the AI was able to handle it. And now with the advances in AI,
yeah, it's
probably looks real.
Yeah. I'm paying for whatever it is, GPT-40 now, but I don't think I get a video version. I'll have to keep looking. All those art ones are from Microsoft's AI. I'm paying for what's it called, GPT image, and it's good. It's actually pretty powerful, but it only gives me one at a time, and Microsoft gives me 4 every time I tell it a prompt. It'll give me 4 results, and I'd rather get 4 results than one that I can edit. So anyway, most of my pictures are from Microsoft. You're using your one off your computer, right? Still?
Yeah. I've been blown away by what the free thing that just kind of popped up randomly on my computer can do. I mean, the couple of pictures that I've done, I tell it to, one was a mouse looking at a computer, and then the other was Luke Skywalker as a mouse, and it looks like a real mouse. I'm amazed. And that's not, pile on top of that, it's not really what it's designed to do, but it can still do it really well. G-Webs. Anything you want to plug? You got anything coming up? Are you do you know when you're going to be whatnotting next?
Whatnot tomorrow. I'm gonna try doing them more and more often as I get more used to it. I'll plug the annual meetings coming up for the NRA. We got 4 reform candidates going in. Amanda Suffolk and Rick Ector were already there, so that's 6 people on the board. All the people that, Wayne's gone and most of his close friends are gone. People that had anything to do with all that shit pretty much know the end is near, or are not even going to bother showing up, I suspect. So I'm thinking we're about to see the most effective NRA show since 1977. So I'll plug that. I don't think we're going to get anybody to go in that room and film it, besides maybe what's his name, Pincus. But he's got his pistol, so I don't even know if he'll do that. But that's what I'll plug. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I got my renewal notice today in the mail.
I mean, I'm no fan of the NRA that way. I'm a life member, but they don't recognize it anymore. I got it a good deal one time, a long time ago, for $350, and the last time I tried to do anything with it, they're like, "Oh no, you're not a life member." So I'm like, "Well,
Yeah, I am conflicted because of all the corruption scandal that happened, but there is so much more that they do, which I think is important, that there aren't other organizations to take up that slack if they were to stop doing it. Just insurance for ranges and gun shops. They are the largest provider. There is no other, if instantly they were gone, all that's gone, you're going to start losing gun shops and ranges because there's no one to take up that slack.
I mean, I don't disagree with you because they're just people aren't being real. They're being unrealistic. They're not paying attention how big it is because they don't pay attention how big it is. Nobody can. It's huge. But I think the biggest issue is the potential, the opportunity cost. The other side hates the NRA, and we have the potential to fix it or do something with it. And instead, everyone's taken no one's even made this decision. They're just taking the option that's given to them that says, fuck the NRA. You could pay $30 to these other people. And that's just a dumbass way to do it. Because what the hell else do we go? Oh, no, you only got $30 to spend. Oh, you only have $30 to spend. People will go, oh, I want to buy another red dot. Oh, buy 6 new red dots. Buy 100 new grip angles. Buy 16 new knives, whatever. When do we become like we can only do one thing? So to me, it just seems like such a discouraging bitch fest when people go, ooh, whatever they come up with for their hatred of the NRA. It's just weak. Like, go fix it. If it sucks, go fucking fix it. Like, why would we throw away our biggest giant thing? It just doesn't make any sense. And they don't even have to do nothing. All they have to do is shut up and let somebody who wants to do it do it. There's like 2 to 5 million members of the NRA. There can't be that many that think Wayne is awesome. So just all they got to do is shut up and let the NRA fix itself. And then that's one less thing for Bloomberg to be able to deal with. But so many people are just on the like, I hate the NRA, or I'm going to the NRA show, but I hate the NRA. Like, just that's frustrating.
Guns of Water says that I'm training Skynet to kill us. If you've ever done CAPTCHA, the pick every picture that shows a bus or a sidewalk, you've been training that you've been training the AI. And that's what all that is. It's
How to kill us.
The whole reason they started doing that is so that Google can recognize what these things are. So if you've done it, you've trained them too. X once the NRA does a scam drawing one of my local shops, $50 a ticket, but nobody ever verifiably wins. I don't know. I mean, there's laws that govern raffles and stuff, so I don't know if it. I can't speak to that.
We got Dan Dewey here in Tucson. I would suspect he's probably not doing it anymore because he was not a young guy. But I don't care what anybody says about the NRA. Dan is a powerhouse of fundraising. Tucson district or whatever we are here has been like very high in the list not every year, but for a number of years. And Dan just went nuts. It was like his old passion in life is being the NRA raffle guy. So he would go to gun shops and be like, you got any guns? And then gun shops would give him guns. So then he would take those guns and raffle them. And the opposite of what he's saying. I mean, this guy gave away guns constantly, but he raised a ton of money for NRA doing that. People loved it. He was like everywhere. You'd go to Sportsman's, he's in front. Go to the gun show, of course he's there. You go out fishing somewhere, there he is, set up at the lake. He's just set up constantly all the time.
So if anybody's familiar with the Whatnot website, it's kind of like eBay, Swap Meet, and Carnival Barker all mixed together. It's kind of interesting to watch. People selling stuff, live auctions. They're kind of short. They're like 30-second or less. But GWebs is on there under gear websites, I believe.
Yep.
So if you're familiar, find his channel, check him out. Most of his stuff starts at $1. There's a few things that are a little more, but
Yeah,
the
all the stuff I
majority.
pay more for, but most of the time everything's $1 or $2.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of fun. We've been doing them in the afternoons, but I'm probably going to do a string of not this late at night, probably, but like late night. See what happens with nighttime people.
So this weekend will be an overnight. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I thought about talking about the end of the world stuff, like we were talking, the Survivor show, but then we kind of talked about it tonight. So
I was going to say nobody's going to be back from NRA, right?
No, I doubt it. So we'll talk about something. I'm not sure what we're going to have. If anybody has something they want to talk about, send me an email. Or if you're on the Gilded server, the overnight Gilded server, which there's a link in the description, send me a message. I'm always open for topic suggestions. And other than that, I guess I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.